Welcome to the Your Energy First podcast, where we help you explore and better understand your intuition and spiritual gifts so that you can apply them to your day to day for your most purposeful and abundant life. Welcome back to the podcast. We have quite the topic today, and for quite the topic, I brought in quite the co-host. Welcome back, my mom, Barbara, aka Babs. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, actually. I'm a little sleepy. I woke up really early this morning and I'm really excited for this topic. I actually got the intuitive nudge to meditate on this topic before we got started. And what my team had me do was really clear and ground. And the topic we're going to cover is how to be empowered during a recession. So, before we get started, I wanted to make everybody aware of the new intuitive alignment program. I am so excited for this program. It is live with me twice a month with Voxer support in between. Clients will tell you Voxer support is one of their absolute favorite things. And really, this is where the magic happens because when we learn things together one on one, it's in the application of them in your real life and in the day to day where things really begin to happen and shift and change. So, the intuitive alignment container, we are going to help you get clear, understand your intuition, how to utilize it, how to utilize your inner light. And we're also going to help use this to help you bring at least one of your goals to fruition into your experience in the next 6 months. So instead of us looking at this as, okay, the first 6 months of the year just flew by, if you are ready to make active change and to also know that you're going to be meeting some of the most incredible people along this path, this is the live group session for you. So this intuitive message came through about how how can we best handle ourselves during a recession? And who knows when the next recession will come? The natural cycle of our environment is that they do happen. And I'm not going to get into the weeds or the behind the scenes as to why these happen. Are they man made or not? Who's doing it for what interests? Instead, what we're going to look at is, again, how can we be empowered with this and have ourselves have as best an experience as possible? Because one of the things that happens during a recession is people go straight to being out of their power. They feel as though they are the victim of things, which is very understandable. And the truth is, there is a better way. I look in my life just how much resistance has taught me. So when something happens in my life that's been very challenging, it could be in business, in my personal life, with health, any of it, all of it has actually brought me great wisdom and made my life even better. So, from that, this is the approach we want to look at when it comes to a recession. First things first is perspective. How is this working in my favor? Where are the small miracles throughout my day and experience? This requires a really big mindset shift because when these things begin to happen, our loved ones, people in our community, the online space, there's a stir and it's a big stir, and people have a lot of emotions around these things. As such, they will naturally intend to influence your own experience. And instead, what you want to do is have a greater perspective. going to your inner light, show me how this is working out in my favor. Show me what you would have me do here so that these circumstances benefit me. It's critical to note when we do this, we're doing this from our inner light. Anytime you do anything from your inner light, you're doing it with the intention that your aligned actions benefit you and have a ripple effect to benefit the greater good. That part's critical.
I agree 100% with that.
The next part is looking for opportunity. So, are you going to be back on your heels saying, this is happening. And no matter what, these instances and the varying degrees in which they occur can really bring you back on your heels. You don't feel as though you have settled footing. You are very unsure of the future. All of these things are really important to note in the moment and then know where to go for your own personal inner sanctuary. So, your own personal inner sanctuary is your inner home base that you build up over time. So, if you are someone who meditates, who has a regular energy self care practice, who prays, who has movement as a part of their medicine, nature as a part of their medicine, solid community as a part of their medicine, what is your own personal inner sanctuary? Barb, what does inner sanctuary mean for you? Or what thoughts do you have to add to this?
Well, I agree with everything you just said. And I think all of those components are very important. I think as individuals, we all, if we incorporate meditation, movement, nature, community, friends, family, that's, I think, the basis for all of this that we all kind of have to tap into. And then as individuals, we have our own things that bring us um, peace. Or for me, it's painting.
Mm-hmm.
When I go into my art room and I start painting, I don't really think about anything else other than I don't like this painting right now, or oh, I'm really liking this. Let's keep going. All I'm thinking about is that painting. I'm not thinking about anything that's bothering me or that's going on in the world. And I'm going to say golf is kind of the same way, because you get out there on the golf course and all you're thinking about is, how are you going to hit your next, where's your next ball, where's your ball going to go to next? And how are you going to finish out the hole? And, you're conversing with your friends and you're focused on the game of golf. I think everybody should have something like that. For me, it's those two things. There's other things too, reading. Um, but if we can take what you mentioned a few minutes ago, those basic things that I think sometimes we forget to do,
Right.
and then incorporate with it, and stay healthy too, as far as what you put into your body. I think that's really a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we can do those things, and it doesn't mean we have to do them on a large level. Sometimes for me, I'll just go outside and just sounds kind of strange, but I'll just go outside barefoot and stand in the grass for a few minutes just to connect with Mother Earth again. Because I feel like, oh, I've been in the house all day. And even a few minutes of that, or I'll go outside and just kind of, it's really going to sound strange, just kind of hang on to a tree branch or just kind of connect with something outside in my yard that is of nature, and it makes you feel better. It just makes you feel better. Um, anyway,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And nothing is going to be too weird for this crew,
probably not.
for this community, believe me. They're like touching a tree branch. Yeah, they're like, that's a Tuesday for me.
Well, I call it holding hands with my tree outside of my front door.
I
Oh,
love that so much.
yeah.
I like too how you emphasized bringing focus to those things, how it's not that we take them for granted. I think they're just so much a part of our life that we sort of forget that that gets to be a focus. And then also, everything you shared from the painting to the golf, all of that brings you presence.
Yes. Yes, it does. That's a very good point.
And it's in the presence that we have our inner sanctuary. It's allowed to bloom, to blossom, to engulf us in love, to engulf us in light. When we're present, we're actually in true what the guides are calling energetic homeostasis,
Hmm.
which is that true alignment, which means we can't fear or worry because we're in alignment with the light, which is love.
That's
And
really important. And I did not make really that connection that you just pointed out. In fact, if I can't sleep at night and I start worrying, I really should just get up and start painting and
why
then go
not?
back to bed, right?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's your life. And if that's what is going to feel good for you, then you should absolutely do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick tangent here. I have found some nights that are sleepless for me are when I'm having some of the most profound energetic internal shifts.
Mm.
And I sort of stay awake, like in this lucid state, so that the energy, the old energy comes through to shift out and the new energy takes place.
Oh, that's very interesting. I never really thought that that might be what's going on when you wake up and can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's a very good point, which makes even more sense than to. I mean, I think we're always trying to get back to sleep, and then our mind starts going, what we call the monkey brain, and we start, nighttime, everything seems worse than it really is. Um, for me, I start sometimes thinking of, oh, what if, what if? And it's hard to get out of that state, I think, in the middle of the night.
Right.
And I will get up and read, and that helps. But it's reading is taking you really, maybe I shouldn't have used that as an example. It's taking you somewhere else. It's not putting you in that state of where painting, for example, or golf, can't go play golf in the middle of the night, but where you are, you're just in a state of doing what you're doing and you can't think of anything else because you're so focused on doing that particular project that you're working on. Or and maybe that's not the best thing to do in the middle of the night, but heck, I'm going to try it.
I think what's really good is when you get up and you read, what you're doing is you are stopping your old patterning. So, your old patterning is the worry and the what if. The reading stops it and puts
Right.
you in a different patterning. So, that's actually good. So, the next step then is to go to your inner light and let's reorganize to your inner light is source and all of the activations of source energy that have come through to support and guide you, your spirit
Hmm.
guides, your spirit team members, your higher self. It's everybody's in the camp at once in your inner light. I have a client, phenomenal client, and she came to me for business. And months in, she said, Emily, I actually want to bring in the alignment container aspects because I want to understand how to get direct access to, these conversations and holding space and more guided messages. And so I said, well, this is going to be your inner light. And she goes, well, I've been connecting to source. And the conversation we had was, isn't that enough? Source is incredible. Source has created resources to help you with the finite detail. We don't have one single knife in the kitchen. We have butter knives. Helga gave us those little fruit knives to cut up little tiny fruits. We have bread knives. We have steak knives. We have all kinds of knives. Source has given us all kinds of knives. And that's who's all on our spirit team to help. So that's what makes your inner light so powerful. So now you repattern and you say, whoa, I'm in this old pattern. I'm worried. I'm having my what ifs. I'd like to shift this energy. Maybe I'm going through a big shift. So much happens when we sleep. And so now you can read, and maybe that feels good for 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then you go to your inner light, or maybe you skip reading, you go directly to your inner light. Say, you start taking deep breaths. I set the intention I'm connected to my inner light. Please run divine clearing and grounding energy for me. And you repeat that, the breath and the clearing and the grounding, until you feel better, until you feel present. And then you work with your team and you say, okay, no more what ifs. So if the old you is operating from this sense, this what if pattern, what is the new you operating from? The new you is operating with the energy of what am I creating? Also known as what am I manifesting? But we're not manifesting a flash in the pan thing like a scarf. We are going to be in the expectation of experience. So now we want to say, what if tomorrow I wake up and it's one of the best days I've had all year? What if I can find some things to get really excited about? What if I'm going to make sure I laugh 10 times tomorrow? Why don't I laugh 10 times tomorrow? How's that going to happen? Well, I'll set an intention. Plus, I'll do a little meme research online, or I'll call a funny friend and I'll say, laugh with me. In the previous intuitive alignment group, I surprised them and brought in a laughing guru who taught us different ways to laugh over the course of 30 minutes. It was really fun. So, thinking about it from this way, this is how you develop that really strong inner sanctuary. And we need to really hone this in, because what happens is recessions knock our root chakra, root energy center off balance, off kilter. And it says if we don't feel stable in our own country, which many people don't, if we don't feel stable in our own country, in our own sense of being, what then makes us stable? Our light, our sense of self. So what happens is some people are going to find they're going to reach outside of themselves and develop new forms of stabilization for themselves. It may be in the form of a partner, a lover, a job. It may be in the form of a religion. How can we find and cultivate these things within ourselves and include all of those other things as well? But it's at the root. I know myself to be in alignment, and I know myself to be cared for. When we do this, when we practice this, we get to that state not by being perfect and then going to our inner light, but by feeling so scared or out of whack or out of balance and working with our inner light and asking our inner light to work with us until we can start to recognize the sense of calm, deep, deep sense of inner calm and being. You can physically go so deep within your inner light, as deep as you want to. Deep means expansion, deep means elevation, deep means ascension. It doesn't mean dark into the withers. And so you get to this place through practice, and it's what do I want to cultivate? What do I want to create now? What experience do I want? As humans, especially because we've been so well indoctrinated into the school system, into the work system, into the home systems, our creativity is so low. So, what you're actually doing is you are actually giving yourself an opportunity to create in your life.
I'd like to add something to that part of the conversation.
Please.
When, for those of us that haven't been practicing this as long as some people, Okay. Some people have been practicing it longer. You, for example.
Tell that.
Uh, yeah. Um, and I think a lot of people do struggle with that waking up in the middle of the night. I'm getting back to that again. And you just took us through that process. But I want to add that all you really sometimes have to do, and I do this, I started doing this recently, is if I'm having a particularly difficult night, if I'm just I am a worrier, so I'm working on it. I'm working on it all my life. I'm just wired that way, I guess. But
You can also rewire that, but yes.
yes, yes, I can, and I am working on that. But what you can do if you are having one of those difficult nights, you don't want to get up and read, you can't stop the monkey brain. I have done this and it works. I just say, I'm connecting to my light. Every time my mind goes off to the side, I'm connecting to my light and I visualize myself connecting to my inner light. I picture my inner light, and that's all I do is say, I'm connecting to my light. My light is here supporting me. Everything that goes with it is supporting me. And I do fall back asleep. So there is that one simple little step I think we can take too. Um, and if we want, we can go on and, like you say, what if tomorrow is I'm going to have the best day that I've had this year? What if tomorrow that's wonderful too. I love that. But sometimes we're only humanly capable of doing one thing. And I think that one thing would be say, I connect to my inner light, and it works. It does work to calm you down and to help you get back to sleep naturally without, yeah, without going down the really
Yeah.
long monkey brain trail.
Thank you for sharing that. I agree with you.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to do this. And to your point, which is such an excellent point, even if we start to hear word about a recession or we're being told we're going through one, even in that moment, you can just simply go to your light and say, I'm in my light. Fear, worry comes up, your corporation sends out an email or your best friend tells you something, something. You going to you and feeling as solid as possible into your inner light in that moment is going to be you being in your inner sanctuary. And it's one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself.
And I agree with that 100%. Yes. We can do that all throughout the day with, like you just said, somebody tells us something that's disturbing or scary or that we have no control over. And I have to say, part of the old me, not that, I, yeah, part of the old me, when I heard something that really, really bothered me, I would I would go down that path with whatever that was, whether it's about a, big recession coming or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, something that definitely really disturbs us. I would go down that path. And now when I hear something or I get some unsettling news, that's what I do. I say, I am safe in my light. I have no control over this situation. It's not going to help me to get all anxious about it. I'm just going to connect to my light and go on with my day. And some people might say, well, let's not stick our head in the sand either. Well, sometimes we just need to stick our head in the sand
Stick
and
your
just
head in
say,
your inner light.
when I say stick your head in the sand, I think that's just a term that we're so used to saying in our society. Maybe we should maybe we should change it to, you can't always stick your head into your inner light. Well, yeah, we can, because it helps us cope. And I don't think that we are privy to so much information now,
Right.
whether it's true or not, and a lot of it's bad. We have to somehow, like you say, find a way to cope with that on a daily basis.
Right. There's another term people will use too, which is, bypassing the experience. And each of us can only know for our true self what we are bypassing or not, which means we're choosing to ignore certain things, right? And not
Right.
acknowledging the difficulties of others. And this is what in part makes the inner light work so impactful is so you realize you're having a monkey mind moment, you go to your inner light, you bring yourself there, and from there you say, what would you have me do, higher self, which is your own self, spirit, the activation of source, because whatever spirit has you do is going to help the greater good. And each of us individually is doing our parts to help the greater collective. You volunteer every single week. People don't know that, but you do with some of the local shelters. So we all have ways of giving back. And our inner light and going there isn't putting our head in the sand. It's saying I'm choosing to create a better outcome for myself and the greater good. And that's the beautiful part of it.
Mhm. Yeah. And even just doing something small, which seems like a small drop in the bucket, is doing something. It's the story about the person walking down the beach, and I don't remember whether it were starfishes or fish or whatever it was. And there's all these, I think it was fish. There was all these fish stranded on the beach, and this guy kept picking them up, throwing them back in the water. I mean, he was never going to throw them all back in the water to live. And somebody behind him said, "What are you doing? You're never going to save all these fish." And I might be getting this story a little wrong, but you get the gist of it. But he says, "Yes, but I'm saving this one, and I'm saving this one, and I'm saving this one." And when you do that, you at least feel like you are contributing something. You can't make the whole world good, but you can make that little fish happy or that fish,
Exactly.
throw him back in. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it does help. It does help with your own mind of, I feel so helpless. There's so much going on in the world that we can't do anything about. Yeah, I guess in referencing you saying I volunteer at a shelter. Um, but once I started doing that, I really felt at first it was kind of hard to go there once a week and see the some of the suffering of people, the homeless people. But we go and we serve food that we make, and after a while, it got to be, oh wow, this is I am making a difference, even if it's just
Right.
to 30 people in a week.
Right.
You do make a difference.
Right. And you actually prepare the food the day before and serve it the next day. And there's been a lot of additional add on benefits that you've gotten to support the shelter with too.
Yeah.
So, to your point, going to my inner light and saying, what's my part? What would you have me do? I do that all the time, all the time. And as a collective, I'm talking about the real folks, you, me, people listening. We're going to be the ones who make the active change in this world. And it starts with settling our minds, settling our hearts, settling our energy, having that divine connection, that source connection, and saying, what is my part in this? What is my path in this? And that's why we want to be empowered during these times. We want to say, what's the opportunity here? That could mean moving, taking advantage of, stocks being on sale, properties being on sale, who knows? And then at the same time, having that really strong inner sanctuary of this is what happens when I feel jumbled. I know what to do. I know where to go. I know what to ask. I want to thank you so much for sharing your light, your heart, your experience with our listeners. You are one of the kindest people that I know who also is no BS.
Ah, thank you, Emily.
All right. It was so
Oh,
wonderful having you here. I
thank
would
you.
love to have you
But
back.
thank you.
Talk to you in a few minutes.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Everybody, take care. I am wearing a sweatshirt. On this sweatshirt, this is Live Gratitude 2.0. So this sweatshirt actually says hermit mode. So on days where you need a well day, you need a wellness check, a day to relax, restore, veg out, take care of you, you can put on this cozy, cozy sweatshirt and it says hermit mode, and the energy is going to take care of you as you rejuvenate inside out.
I
Link in the
love
show
that.
notes. Yeah, you haven't seen it yet, have you? Is it
No,
cute?
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's super soft too.
All right.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to hit the follow and subscribe button. And as always, you can join other light minded souls on Instagram. You can find me at emilymarie.energy or in the free Facebook group. The links are in the show notes. Bye. This podcast is intended to educate, inspire, and support you on your personal spiritual journey towards inner peace, inner calm, developing your intuition, and inner wisdom. I am not a psychologist, financial advisor, or a medical doctor and do not offer any professional health, financial, or medical advice. If you are suffering from any psychological, financial, or medical conditions, please seek help from a qualified professional.